Hey, what's up, everybody? So it's my first video. As you can tell, just tell you a little bit of who I am. Stout astronaut. As you can see from the YouTube, might have seen me around Dueling Book and/or Discord. And the other day, I was talking about potentially doing like some type of analytics for Go format and Yu-Gi-Oh in general. Um, and for a while, I didn't do it because it would have taken a lot of my time as far as like manually inputting all the data points, like watching each replay and how it would go. Um, well, then I discovered how I could write a script using code and to capture it all for me. So I didn't do it because I can only code in R, which is more for economic use data analytics. And I was like, well, I don't know how I would do it for Yu-Gi-Oh. Well, then I did a little bit of research and started learning about Java, a little bit more about Python, and I was able to use R to capture the console logs um, of a dueling book replay. Well, once I did that, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. Let me take something like a PWCQ and go to every replay and capture all the data from every replay. So on the left, what you see is just an example of what the data set looks like. It gives me what happened, so the play, at what time it happened, what was done publicly and privately, as far as the opponent at the time would see draw a card, whereas you would see the private log of what you drew. In this data set, if you look to the right, encompasses 62 variables, all of which are like card attack, card defense, card type. Is it a flip effect? What's the description of the card, the color of the card, what type of card, monster, spell, trap. So I was like, okay, this is definitely doable now because I don't have to sit there and watch every single video and actually do it. Once I learned how to write a scraper and write the script to capture the logs for me in JSON scripts and copy that over, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take this pet project, and kind of go forward with it. So on the right just kind of shows all of the different matches from the PWCQ 56, and then I merged them all into one data set. So PWCQ 56 was won by Anthony Alvarado. These are the different types of decks that were involved. So we kind of have a mix of decks, which I'm glad we do. And the data set and the data that I'm going to show you isn't just all Chaos Turbo. We have Warriors, Earth Beat, Drain, a little bit of Dim Fusion, and then obviously the Turbo. On the right just shows the bracket and how it went down. And then get into the data, right? So this is what has really been intriguing me with Yu-Gi-Oh! I play GOAT, I play Edison, I play PC, Yada, and then yeah, that's about it. But I really wanted to get into the data side of it. And not just say, hey, I think this is happening, because that's not how I like to look at things. I kind of want to give you the math behind it, or like the statistical significance. And then so right here is just showing counts, right? I'm just kind of showing you on the left. I kind of subsetted a lot of the data, and all the code behind it. And this is just showing the top left is all the different types of cards drawn. The biggest thing here is we have to remember that this data is only applicable to PWCQ 56, and it's only applicable to the top 8, because I only did the first top 8 replays in data, and I was missing one as well, one of the matches. But this was just the beginning of what I hope to do after every single event that the GOAT format presents, which will make the data set larger and larger, which will give us more observations, which will give us more data. But once again, I wanted to start small, kind of get a video out there and kind of show you what can be done from dueling book replays, being able to capture all that data and what we can present. The biggest thing at the top left, like I was saying, is where it says normal. That's a normal trap or spell. I could go further and subset it down to show normal trap, normal spell. But for this instance, it was just easier to leave it as is. So you take, Anthony Alvarado. This is showing for every instance that his username popped up in the log, the card type that he drew was X. So he drew 2 aquas, he drew 1 counter, three equips. and this is for the entire top 8 match replays. So going back, he played what, 1, 2, 3 matches. So this is encompassing all of that. For Marvin, as you can see, he only drew 8 normal spells or traps, or 2 spellcasters, right? So you can see the count of each. Below that is attack, and then I have card type as well. So this is just a table showing every single monster that was drawn, the attack of that monster, and then top right is the mean and median of attack and defense. So, you know, we talk about GK Spy. I know JDZ is always talking about GK Spy and how it's busted. This is just showing, on average, on all the monsters that were drawn, the average attack was roughly 1400, and the average defense was roughly 1300. Bottom left, so I just subsetted this out to show the count of monsters drawn, spells drawn, and traps drawn. What we have to be mindful too is, you know, and as more I do more videos and you hear me explain more behind analytics and how data works, just because you see Anthony Alvarado in this instance have more counts of things, you can't just jump to a conclusion, because he won this event, which means that he went the farthest in this event, meaning he had more instances of everything, because he made it that far. When you look at, you know, Zalug, he had a very low count of X of whatever that is, because he didn't make it as far, right? So we just have to be mindful, and I'll talk about regressions later and what I did to show statistical significance. But don't just look at these numbers and say, oh, he drew way more monsters than everyone else. Yes, he did, because he made it further, but it doesn't mean it's statistically significant yet. So here we get into some regressions and some data, right? It's like why you might be watching this video and why I made it. So at the top, we always talk about what is RPS, you know, rock, paper, scissors, and what does it do for you as far as winning and losing. If you look at the bottom where it says note, right here, what we're really looking for is something to have at least 2 stars. In layman's terms, that means we have a 95% confidence interval with the alpha of less than 0.05. That might sound totally confusing, but in order to say something is statistically significant and that the chance of it happening doesn't involve 0, it has to be less than 0.05. So in this instance, we have a count, right? Number 1, it shows the count. So that's the how many times on the right each individual run 1 rock, paper, scissors. And above that, I ran a regression saying, okay, compared to individuals who lost rock, paper, scissors, the individuals who won rock, paper, scissors had a 0.3 percentage point least likely chance of losing. And I kind of put a reference right here if you want to look at that to understand. So layman's terms, it's saying here that if you won RPS, your chances of losing went down. But you'll keep hearing me repeat it, that because we don't have a p-value of less than 0.05, we can't say this is statistically significant, right? It doesn't mean anything yet. What I'm hoping is, as I keep doing this and as we go further with this, and I get more and more data, I can continue adding to the data, and this will make it easier for things to become statistically significant because our sample size increases. And because something increases, as far as sample size, it gives us a better view of what is actually. And coming to the right, you can see breaking it out all the times that an individual. So we have what happened, right? Rehearsers. Who won? The person who won. Player 1, player 2, and then players 1's choice and player 2's choice. And all of this is captured in the console logs, right? So every single action that happened in any dueling book match, as far as a duel message, a watcher comes in or comes out, you shuffle your hand, right? All that's captured. And then this is just some of the data. I thought it'd be interesting to show, just a couple things in the beginning that we always talk about. Hey, if you win rock, paper, scissors, what does it do for you? I can't give you a statistically significant answer yet because I don't have enough data currently, right? I can easily keep doing this and adding more and more and more and giving you statistics. But we can see that Anthony won RPS every single time, and he made it the furthest. And that's what it's easy to say, right? But I would just caution you because we don't have that answer fully yet until we have more data. Going into the Trinity thing, right? We always talk about, hey, if you draw a Trinity, does it give you a better chance of winning or losing? Right here just shows a count, right, of how many times someone drew Trinity, and I define that as pot, graceful, and duo. So I assigned a 1 every single time someone in the private log drew either pot, graceful, or delinquent duo. And then over here is showing how many times that happened, right? And down here is another regression. So it's saying compared to individuals who won, individuals who lost a duel, they were 1 percentage point less likely to draw Trinity. Saying, in other words, the more you draw Trinity, the more you win. But once again, I can't tell you that's statistically significant yet because we don't have enough data. And I say we, I mean I. And I just need to go through and get more data, which is just copying JSONs and all the replays, which just takes time, right? But I definitely want to do that more and more, like I said, through each event. I've kind of covered everything on this. This is showing, so I subset it again, and we're starting to get some statistical significance with this right here, and this showing card type monster. So I subsetted the data to show every time someone drew a card spell, a trap, or a monster, I assigned it a 1. And then I said, okay, hey, given that you drew a monster, what's the probability that you lost? And I did it for spell, I did it for trap as well. But for this one, this is saying compared to individuals who drew a spell or a trap, individuals or duelists who drew a monster were 0.4 percentage points less likely to lose. So, layman's terms, if you drew into something else other than a monster, your odds of losing went up. And this is a 0.1 p-value, so we're still not quite there yet, but we are getting there given we have more observations. Number 2 on the right. So this one is statistically significant, and if we start adding more controls to this and getting more data, this number may go up, it may go down, it may completely drop out of the statistically significant range. But for this data set, given that you played in PWCQ 56 and you made it to the top 8, and compared to individuals who didn't shuffle their hand, if you shuffled your hand, your chances of drawing Trinity went down by 2.8 percentage points. I thought that was pretty funny, saying that, like, hey, you know, the counts at the bottom down here of how many times each individual's username popped up and how many times they shuffled their hand. Given that you shuffled your hand, you drew Trinity less compared to individuals who didn't. It's one of those statistics that don't really mean anything, right? Like shuffling your hand, not shuffling your hand, given that it's a randomized, dueling books random when he gives out cards. I just thought it was funny to kind of see that shuffling your hand actually has statistically significant results in this data set. And yeah, so like I said, I just wanted to give a quick video of just PWCQ 56 and some quick data analytics, and kind of open the door, right, for myself or for anyone else really to have a discussion on like what we can do with this and how much data we can pull in and kind of go from there. So thanks for watching.